Sure, here is your script. A quiet hum of the refrigerator is the only sound in my apartment, a stark contrast to the cacophony of joy that usually fills our family gatherings. My fingers trace the embossed lettering on the elegant invitation lying on my coffee table, is celebrating the union of Eleanor and Julian. Everyone I know received one. Everyone, it seems, except me. My younger sister, Eleanor, radiant in every photo, her smile mirroring the sunshine on the cardstock. Eleanor, for whom every family event has always been a meticulously orchestrated performance of her undeniable brilliance. I pick up the invitation, not out of longing, but out of a morbid curiosity, as if holding it might offer a clue to my exclusion. My name is nowhere on the guest list, a ghost in a celebration that feels less like a wedding and more like a carefully edited memoir where certain chapters are deliberately omitted. A faint ache starts in my chest, a familiar sensation that has accompanied every significant milestone in Eleanor's life. It's not jealousy, not anymore. It's a weariness, a deep-seated fatigue from constantly being the supporting character in a narrative that was never truly mine. My phone buzzes. A text from my best friend, Clara. Got Eleanor's invite. So excited. Have you picked out your dress? I stare at the message, the words blurring as the ache intensifies. Clara, bless her oblivious heart, assumes I'm part of the inner circle, part of the chosen few. She doesn't know about the quiet dismissals, the subtle slights, the way my accomplishments have always been overshadowed by Eleanor's more palatable successes. Clara's excitement feels like a distant echo, a reminder of a reality I don't inhabit. The memory of my own engagement, a small, intimate affair, flashes before me. My mother's polite smile, her quick pivot to Eleanor's recent promotion at her law firm. She's always been so driven, so ambitious, as she'd mused, a casual observation that felt like a pointed comparison. The unspoken message, loud and clear, your quiet joys are inconsequential next to Eleanor's grand achievements. My partner, Liam, had noticed, of course. He always does. They just don't see you, do they? He'd said, his hand squeezing mine under the table. His understanding, a balm on a wound that never quite heals. Now, Liam is out of town for a conference, and I'm alone with the invitation, the silence amplifying the weight of my isolation. I scroll through social media, a masochistic habit I can't seem to break. Photos from Eleanor's engagement party, her bridal shower, all with the same smiling faces, the same familiar backdrop of family and friends. My absence is a gaping hole, a negative space that screams louder than any presence. It's not just a matter of not being invited, it's the deliberate erasure, the systematic scrubbing of my existence from the family portrait. I remember a conversation with my mother a few months ago, a seemingly innocuous chat about wedding planning. We want to keep it intimate, darling, as she'd said, her voice laced with an artificial sweetness that always signals unspoken truths. Just the core family, and I, foolishly, had believed her, clinging to the hope that this time, I would be considered a core. This time, I would be seen. The pang of disappointment is sharper now, a bitter reminder of my perennial optimism, my unwavering belief in a family bond that seems to exist only in my imagination. The afternoon light fades, casting long shadows across the living room. The invitation, once a symbol of exclusion, now feels like a mirror, reflecting a truth I've long avoided. I am not, and perhaps never have been, truly part of this family's narrative. My worth, my identity, my very existence, a contingent upon Eleanor's orbit. And I'm tired of orbiting. So I stand up, a new resolve hardening in my chest. I pick up the invitation, not to discard it, but to reclaim it. It's not a symbol of my exclusion, but a testament to my liberation. I will not be a ghost in someone else's story. I will write my own. The next morning, The silence of my apartment feels less like isolation and more like a canvas. The weight of the invitation from yesterday has transformed into a strange lightness, a sense of unburdening. I find myself sketching, something I haven't done for pure pleasure in months. My design business has been thriving, demanding my full attention, but today, the lines flow freely, creating patterns that aren't for a client, but for myself. The phone rings, startling me. It's my mother. "Darling," she begins, her voice a careful blend of concern and condescension. "I heard from Aunt Carol that you're upset about Eleanor's wedding. Is everything all right?" Her words, perfectly chosen to imply I'm overreacting, land with a familiar sting. "I haven't heard anything about the wedding," I reply, my voice steady, surprising even myself. "So I wouldn't know what to be upset about." A beat of silence. Then, a sigh. "Ocean, we all agreed it would be best for you not to attend. You tend to make things about yourself, and Eleanor deserves her special day without any drama." The familiar accusation, delivered with the same careful precision, the same thinly veiled judgment. Drama. That's what I am to them. A complication. An unnecessary element in their meticulously curated family portrait. "So, you deliberately excluded me," I state, not as a question, but as a confirmation. The clarity of the truth, stark and unflinching, feels strangely liberating. "It's not personal, Ocean," as she insists, her voice taking on that defensive edge that always precedes a gaslighting attempt. "It's about Eleanor's happiness. You know how sensitive she is, a sensitive Eleanor, who has effortlessly glided through life, lauded for every achievement, coddled through every minor setback. And I, the older sister, always expected to be the rock, the silent support, the invisible presence. My absence is for Eleanor's happiness," I repeat, the words tasting like ash. "Is that what you truly believe?" My mother deflects, as always. "Your father and I just want what's best for everyone." The conversation ends without resolution, leaving me with a familiar emptiness. But this time, it's different. The emptiness is not despair, but a void waiting to be filled. I look at my sketches, the nascent designs for a life unburdened by family expectations. A different kind of celebration. A celebration of self. Later, Liam calls. He's noticed my silence, my emotional distance. I recount the conversation with my mother, the familiar script, the predictable accusations. He listens, his quiet presence a grounding force. "They're trying to control your narrative, love," he says, his voice gentle but firm. "They want you to believe you're the problem, so you don't question their actions." His words are a revelation, shining a light on years of subtle manipulation. They've been rewriting my story, casting me as the difficult one, the jealous one, the drama magnet. And I, unknowingly, have played along, internalizing their narrative, believing their lies. The realization ignites a slow burn of defiance within me. I will not be defined by their twisted version of reality. I will not be a character in their play. I am the author of my own life, and it's time to start writing a new chapter. I spend the rest of the day cleaning my apartment, a symbolic act of purging the old, making space for the new. Each dusty corner, each forgotten item, feels like a piece of the past I'm shedding. I open the windows, letting in the cool spring air, a breath of fresh possibility. The cardinal I often see on my balcony railing lands, its bright red feathers a vibrant splash against the grey sky. It watches me for a moment, then takes flight, a silent messenger of freedom. I watch it go, a sense of calm settling over me. The pain of exclusion is still there, a dull ache, but it's no longer crippling. It's a catalyst, a spark igniting a fire I didn't know I had. A fire to build, to create, to define my own joy, on my own terms. My phone buzzes again. It's Clara, sending a photo of a dress she's trying on for Eleanor's wedding. I smile, a genuine smile, for the first time in days. I'll respond later. For now, I have a new story to write, and it begins with me. The following week, a large, heavy box arrives at my doorstep. Inside, nestled amongst layers of tissue paper, is a gleaming silver tea set, an antique family heirloom. A note from my grandmother is tucked inside, for Eleanor's new home. I thought you might enjoy polishing it for her. The implicit message is clear. My role, even in my absence, is to serve Eleanor's happiness. To prepare the stage for her triumphs. The tea set feels like a gilded cage, a tangible representation of the suffocating expectations that have always defined my place in the family. I call Clara, a torrent of frustration bubbling over. They're trying to use me, even when I'm not there. I exclaim, pacing my living room. Clara, ever practical, suggests, why don't you just donate it? Or sell it? The idea is revolutionary. The thought of divesting myself of this gilded burden, of refusing to play my assigned role, is exhilarating. I decide to hold on to it, for now, a silent act of defiance, a physical reminder of what I refuse to be. My days begin to fill with a new purpose. Instead of dwelling on the wedding drama, I channel my energy into my design business. I take on a challenging new project, rebranding a boutique hotel, immersing myself in the creative process. The work is demanding, but it's a welcome distraction, a tangible way to build something of my own, something that has nothing to do with Eleanor's spotlight. I start saying no. No to impromptu family lunches that inevitably devolve into praise for Eleanor. No to requests to help out you with tasks that are clearly meant to benefit others while conveniently overlooking my own schedule. Each a no, it feels like a small act of rebellion, a reclaiming of my time, my energy, my self-worth. One afternoon, I receive a text from Aunt Carol. Eleanor is having trouble choosing her bridesmaid dresses. She thought you might have some ideas. Being the artsy one-inch, the message is a classic backhanded compliment, designed to lure me back into my familiar role as the supportive, unseen creative assistant. I delete the text without responding. A small, satisfying click. The guilt, once a powerful force, is slowly dissipating, replaced by a growing sense of self-preservation. Liam returns from his conference, his presence a comforting anchor. He listens patiently as I recount the tea set incident, the unsolicited requests for design advice. He doesn't offer solutions, just unwavering support, a silent validation that feels more powerful than any words. You're creating space for yourself, he observes, watching me sketch. It's a good thing, I nod, a quiet affirmation. The space I'm creating isn't empty. It's filling with my own dreams, my own aspirations, my own definition of happiness. The approaching wedding, once a source of dread, now feels distant, almost irrelevant. It's Eleanor's story, not mine. And I'm finally okay with that. I spend an evening researching local charities that support emerging artists, eventually choosing one that helps young women develop their creative talents. The tea set, I decide, will find a new home, a new purpose, far removed from the narrative it was intended to serve. The act feels less like a rejection of family and more like an embrace of my own values, my own chosen path. The cardinal lands on my balcony railing again, a familiar splash of red. This time, I don't just watch it. I feel a kinship, a shared sense of independence, of charting a course unfettered by external expectations. I'm not just making space for myself, I'm building a world where I belong, a world where my voice is heard, and my worth is self-evident. 2 weeks before Eleanor's wedding, the carefully constructed facade of family harmony begins to crack. A series of agitated calls and texts from various relatives indicate that my absence has become a topic of uncomfortable conversation. Grandma is asking about you, Ocean, and my cousin Mark texts. She says it's unlike you to miss a family event in the family narrative, where I am the difficult, dramatic one, is faltering. The quiet exclusion, once a private wound, is now a public mystery. My phone buzzes with an urgent call from my mother. Ocean, we need to talk. Your grandmother is very upset. This is making Eleanor anxious as the carefully veiled threats begin. You know how fragile Grandma's health is. And Eleanor needs to be calm for her big day, as the manipulation is almost laughable in its transparency. My grandmother's health, Eleanor's anxiety, always convenient emotional levers to pull. This time, however, the levers feel rusty, ineffective. I refuse to engage in the familiar dance of guilt and obligation. My absence is meant to ensure Eleanor's calm, I state, echoing her earlier words. Perhaps everyone should focus on supporting her, rather than worrying about me. A weighted silence follows, then a frustrated sigh. This is exactly why we didn't invite you, Ocean. You always twist things. I end the call, a strange sense of empowerment washing over me. Their attempts to control my narrative are backfiring, forcing them to confront the inconsistencies in their own story. The following day, I receive a text from Aunt Carol, usually one of Eleanor's stanchest allies. I'm hearing different stories about why you're not at the wedding. What's really going on? The crack is widening. The truth, once buried under layers of family gossip and carefully crafted excuses, is slowly surfacing. I decide to respond, not with anger, but with a concise, factual account of my exclusion, devoid of emotion or accusation. I simply present the facts, the bridal shower, the congratulatory card, the offer to help, and then, the sudden silence, the absence of an invitation. My response is met with another wave of surprised texts, some apologetic, some still defensive, but all acknowledging the shift in the family dynamic. The power of a simple truth, delivered without drama, is proving more potent than any emotional outburst. Liam, observing the flurry of messages, smiles. You're not fighting their battle, you're just standing in your truth. That's a powerful distinction. His words resonate deeply. I'm not seeking validation, not begging for inclusion. I'm simply existing, authentically, and in doing so, I'm challenging the very foundation of their carefully constructed reality. The day before the wedding, a final, desperate attempt at damage control arrives in the form of my mother and Aunt Malene, knocking on my door. My mother's face is strained, Aunt Malene's pinched with barely concealed fury. Ocean, this has gone far enough, Malene begins, sweeping into my apartment, her eyes darting around, taking inventory. You're causing a scandal. My mother, ever the diplomat, tries a softer approach. Your grandmother is beside herself. Eleanor is a wreck. Can't you just show up for the reception? Just for an hour? The offer, once a cherished dream, now feels like a hollow concession, a crumb thrown from the table of their self-importance. I was never invited to the wedding, I remind them, my voice calm. My absence was your decision, not mine. Malene scoffs. Don't be dramatic. You always make everything about you. I meet her gaze, a quiet resolve hardening my features. I'm making this about me now, yes. Because for too long, it was always about everyone else. My mother looks genuinely surprised, a flicker of something akin to understanding in her eyes. Ocean, we never meant. Her voice trails off, the carefully constructed narrative finally crumbling under the weight of its own contradictions. The cardinal lands on my balcony railing, a vibrant splash of color against the darkening sky. It seems to watch the scene unfold, a silent witness to the shifting tides. I realize then that I don't need their invitation. I don't need their approval. I have my own story to write, my own celebrations to create, and a future that is finally, truly, my own. The day of Eleanor's wedding dawns bright and clear, a perfect day for a celebration. But instead of the Grand Hotel ballroom, I find myself on a secluded beach, the rhythmic crash of waves providing a natural soundtrack. Liam and I have planned a quiet getaway, a personal celebration of our own, far removed from the family drama. My phone is off, tucked away in my bag. I'm deliberately disconnecting, creating a sanctuary of peace and intentional joy. As the sun warms my skin, I reflect on the past few weeks. The initial sting of exclusion has faded, replaced by a profound sense of liberation. The relentless pressure to conform, to be a palatable version of myself, has lifted. I feel lighter, freer, more authentically myself than I have in years. We spend the morning hiking along the coastline, the salty air invigorating, the panoramic views breathtaking. Later, we find a quiet spot for a picnic, sharing stories and laughter, our connection deepened by the shared experience of quiet rebellion. This isn't a reaction to Eleanor's wedding, it's an affirmation of my own path. It's a deliberate choice to prioritize my well-being, my happiness, over the expectations and manipulations of others. My mind drifts to the tea set, now safely delivered to the charity. A small, almost insignificant act, but for me, a powerful symbol of detachment, of refusing to be defined by their material legacies. It's a shedding of the gilded cage, a quiet declaration of independence. In the afternoon, as the tide recedes, leaving intricate patterns on the sand, Liam and I gather seashells, each one unique, a testament to nature's artistry. He holds up a particularly beautiful, iridescent shell. "This one reminds me of you," he says, his eyes full of warmth. Resilient, beautiful, and found your own way to shine, his words are a balm, a powerful antidote to years of subtle dismissals and unspoken judgments. He sees me, truly sees me, in a way my family never has. Later that evening, as the sun dips below the horizon, painting the sky in fiery hues of orange and purple, we sit on the beach, watching the waves. The solitude is not lonely, but profound. It's a space where I can truly hear myself, without the clamor of external voices. I think of my grandmother, her fragile health, her questions about my absence. A pang of regret flickers, but it's quickly extinguished by the overwhelming sense of peace. I realize I can't sacrifice my own well-being to protect her from truths others have created. My responsibility is to myself, to my own happiness, and to the genuine connections I choose to cultivate. My phone remains off. I imagine Eleanor's wedding reception, the clinking of champagne glasses, the carefully choreographed dances, the speeches filled with carefully chosen platitudes. I imagine my mother's strained smile, Aunt Maline's critical gaze. I imagine the subtle undercurrents of judgment, the unspoken comparisons. And I feel nothing but a quiet gratitude for being exactly where I am, with a person who truly sees and cherishes me. The cardinal, my silent companion from my balcony, appears in my mind's eye, a flash of vibrant red against a boundless sky. It's a reminder that freedom isn't found in being included in someone else's narrow definition of family, but in charting your own course, embracing your own wild, untamed spirit. The world, I realize, is much bigger than their ballroom, and my story, much richer than their limited script. I lean into Liam, the warmth of his presence a silent promise of a future filled with chosen joy, with authentic connection, with a life lived on my own terms. My return to the city is met with a flurry of texts and voicemails. The family, it seems, has entered a new phase of agitated curiosity. My deliberate absence from Eleanor's wedding has caused a ripple effect, forcing them to confront the reality of their exclusion. "Ocean, your grandmother is very upset that you weren't there," a text from my mother reads, a thinly veiled accusation. She keeps asking why another message from cousin Mark. He heard the wedding was a bit tense. Everyone was whispering about you not being there. The carefully constructed narrative of me being the dramatic problem is slowly unraveling. The void my absence created has become a space for questions, for doubts, for a reckoning with their own actions. I decide to respond, not with a defensive explanation, but with a quiet confidence. I send a group text to my immediate family. I was not invited to Eleanor's wedding. I respected your decision. I wish Eleanor and Julian all the best of the simple, unvarnished truth, delivered without emotion, without accusation, without drama. The silence that follows is deafening. No angry retorts, no immediate deflections. Just silence, a testament to the power of a truth that cannot be twisted or denied. My design business, meanwhile, is flourishing. The clarity I've gained from stepping away from the family drama has translated into a renewed creative energy. I land a major contract, a national advertising campaign, a project that demands my full focus and artistic vision. This professional success is a tangible manifestation of my newfound self-worth, a testament to the fact that my value is not dependent on family validation. Liam and I start exploring properties, considering a move. Not just to a new apartment, but to a new city, a new beginning, a space where a shared life can truly take root, unburdened by the shadows of the past. The idea of a fresh start, a complete break from the familiar landscape of family expectations, is exhilarating. One afternoon, I receive a call from my grandmother. Her voice, usually sharp and authoritative, is softer, tinged with a fragility I've never heard before. Ocean, honey, as she begins, I've been hearing things. Different stories. Why weren't you at Eleanor's wedding? I recount the events, calmly, factually, leaving out no detail, but also adding no embellishment. I tell her about the bridal shower, the congratulatory card, my offer to help, and then the silence. Her silence on the other end of the line is a revelation. It's not the accusatory silence of my mother, but a thoughtful, introspective quiet. I see, as she finally says, her voice barely a whisper. I see now the conversation ends with her promising to look into things, a small but significant crack in the wall of family denial. The following week, my phone buzzes with an unexpected call from Eleanor. I hesitate, then answer. Her voice is tentative, almost hesitant. Ocean, as she says, I heard what you told Grandma. About not being invited. A long pause. Is it true? Yes, Eleanor, I reply, my voice even. It is. Another pause, then a sigh. Mom and Aunt Marlene said. They said you didn't want to come. That you were just trying to make it about yourself. Did you believe them? I ask, the question hanging in the air. I wanted to, as she admits, her voice cracking slightly. It was easier. The honesty is a startling breach in the carefully constructed family facade. For the first time, Eleanor isn't performing, she's being vulnerable. I'm sorry, Ocean, as she finally says, her voice barely audible. I'm so sorry. The apology, long overdue, is a fragile beginning, a tentative step toward reconciliation. I don't know what the future holds for my relationship with Eleanor, or with the rest of my family. But for the first time, the path forward feels like a choice, not an obligation. I am no longer defined by their narrative, but by my own truth, my own strength, and my own capacity for forgiveness. The cardinal lands on my balcony, a vibrant splash of color against the setting sun. I smile, a genuine smile, knowing that some stories, no matter how carefully edited, eventually reveal their true colors. The tentative conversation with Eleanor, surprisingly, opens a small aperture in the thick wall of family silence. A few days later, my phone rings. It's cousin Rachel, her voice hushed, almost conspiratorial. Ocean, I've been talking to Grandma. She's really upset about how things went down. She said she had no idea you weren't invited. Rachel, a perennial fence-sitter in family disputes, is now actively seeking information. The narrative of my drama is losing its power. The shifting alliances within the family become a strange spectacle. My mother, once unwavering in her support of Aunt Maline's version of events, now begins to send me fragmented texts, almost apologetic in tone. Your father is wondering if you'd like to join us for dinner next week? Just us. The offer, once longed for, now feels like a tentative overture, a cautious attempt to mend a rift they themselves created. I consider it, but then politely decline, explaining that my work schedule is unusually demanding. It's not a punishment, but a truthful reflection of my current priorities. My career, my chosen life, is now a legitimate reason to politely decline, no longer an insignificant hobby or to be dismissed. The national advertising campaign consumes my days, demanding long hours and intense creative focus. The energy I once spent agonizing over family dynamics is now channeled into my art, producing stunning results that garner widespread industry attention. My portfolio, once a quiet collection of personal projects, is now filled with high-profile work, a tangible testament to my talent and resilience. Liam, ever supportive, takes on more of the domestic responsibilities, creating a peaceful and nurturing environment where I can thrive. Our shared future, once a distant dream, begins to take tangible shape. We find a charming, light-filled apartment in a different city, a place that feels like a true home, a sanctuary built on mutual respect and understanding. The cardinal, a fleeting but consistent presence on my old balcony, appears in my thoughts, a symbol of the freedom I've found. I realize that true freedom isn't just about escaping something, but about actively building something new, something that aligns with my deepest values. A prominent design magazine reaches out, expressing interest in featuring my work, specifically highlighting my unique approach to branding and visual storytelling. The irony isn't lost on me. While my family was busy erasing me from their story, the professional world was actively seeking to amplify my voice. This external validation, however, is not a replacement for self-worth, but a reflection of it. It's a testament to the fact that my value was always inherent, not contingent on external approval. One evening, as Liam and I pack boxes, carefully wrapping delicate items, a text arrives from Eleanor. Grandma is coming to visit you next week. She wants to hear everything directly from you. She said she needs to understand if the text is followed by a series of word emojis. It's clear Eleanor is feeling the pressure, caught between her mother and a newly emboldened grandmother. The approaching visit from Grandma, once a source of anxiety, now feels different. I am no longer the vulnerable, hurt girl. I am a woman who has found her voice, built her own life, and is standing on solid ground. Whatever she asks, whatever accusations are thrown, I know I can face them with clarity and calm. The old power dynamics have shifted. I am not seeking their approval, they are seeking my truth. And for the first time, that truth feels not like a burden, but like a shield, protecting the vibrant, authentic life I've so painstakingly created. I look around my almost empty apartment, at the boxes filled with the pieces of my new life. The tea set, long gone, is a distant memory. The future, however, is bright, unburdened, and entirely my own. Grandma's visit is a revelation. She arrives with a determined glint in her eye, her usual sharp demeanor softened by a genuine desire for understanding. My mother, surprisingly, is not present, having conveniently developed a sudden headache. It's just Grandma and me, in my bright, newly minimalist living room, the boxes stacked around us like silent witnesses to a transition. Ocean, as she begins, her voice surprisingly gentle. I've heard so many stories. I want to hear yours. I recount the entire narrative, calmly, factually, without anger or accusation. I speak of the bridal shower, the congratulatory card, my offer of help, the deliberate exclusion, the whispers, the cancelled contracts, the emotional manipulation. I present the evidence, not as a weapon, but as a mirror, reflecting their own actions. Grandma listens, her expression shifting from skepticism to shock, then to a profound sadness. She doesn't interrupt, doesn't dismiss, doesn't gaslight. She simply listens, truly listens, for the first time in years. I had no idea, as she whispers, her voice thick with emotion. I truly had no idea they would exclude you like that. Of the validation, long denied, washes over me, a quiet balm on old wounds. It's not just an apology, it's an acknowledgement of my reality, a recognition of my pain. This is not about getting an apology, it's about being seen. The conversation shifts from the past to the present, to my thriving business, my upcoming move, my new life with Liam. Grandma's eyes light up as I speak of my passion for design, the national campaign, the magazine feature. She asks thoughtful questions, genuinely interested, her pride palpable. That little hobby of yours, as she says, a faint smile touching her lips. It seems it was quite a bit more than a hobby. Her words, once a casual dismissal, and now imbued with a newfound respect. Before she leaves, she gives me a tight hug, something rare and precious. You always were the strong one, Ocean, as she murmurs, her voice thick. Stronger than all of us. Her departure leaves a quiet echo of understanding in the apartment. It's not a complete healing, but it's a significant step, a crack in the wall of family denial that allows a sliver of light to enter. The day after Grandma's visit, I receive a text from Eleanor. Grandma called me. She said she was ashamed. I'm so sorry, Ocean. Really, the apology feels more genuine this time, unburdened by the defensive posturing of her mother. It's okay, Eleanor, I reply, a warmth spreading through me. We all make mistakes. What matters is what we do next. And my mother calls later that evening, her voice tight with a mixture of anger and anxiety. Grandma told me everything. How could you? Turning her against me. The familiar accusations, the emotional manipulation, are still present, but they no longer hold power over me. I told her the truth. Mom, I respond, my voice calm and steady. Something I haven't been able to do with you for a very long time. She hangs up abruptly, the silence that follows feeling not like defeat, but like a quiet victory. The decision to move to a new city solidifies. The apartment, with its abundant light and sweeping views, feels like a physical manifestation of my new beginning. It's a space where I can truly be myself, unencumbered by the ghosts of the past. The Cardinal, my silent confidant, visits my old balcony one last time before I leave, a vibrant splash of red against the cityscape. It's a reminder that even when things feel chaotic and uncertain, there is always a path to freedom, a way to chart your own course. I take a deep breath, the scent of fresh paint and new possibilities filling my lungs. The past, with all its hurts and betrayals, is not forgotten, but it no longer defines me. My story, once dictated by others, is now firmly in my own hands, waiting to be written, chapter by authentic chapter. The future, bright and expansive, stretches before me, a canvas waiting for the vibrant colors of my chosen life. Our new apartment, perched high above the bustling city, feels like a sanctuary. Large windows flood the space with natural light, reflecting off the polished hardwood floors. It's a clean slate, a physical representation of the emotional space I've carved out for myself. Liam and I spend our first few weeks nesting, arranging furniture, unpacking books, transforming the empty rooms into a home that feels uniquely ours. My design business continues to thrive, with the magazine feature leading to a surge of new clients. I'm no longer just a designer, I'm a storyteller, using my skills to help brands articulate their authentic narratives. The work is fulfilling, creatively challenging, and, most importantly, on my own terms. The lingering echoes of family drama begin to fade into the background, replaced by the vibrant hum of my new life. I still receive occasional texts from my mother, usually vague and tinged with a subtle guilt-tripping. Saw your feature in the magazine. Very impressive. Grandma keeps talking about it. The attempts at reconnect Ion are still laced with manipulation, but they no longer sting. I respond politely, briefly, keeping a healthy distance. Eleanor, however, maintains a more genuine connection. Our conversations are infrequent, but more open, more honest. She tells me about her struggles with her mother's constant need for control, her growing awareness of the toxic dynamics that have always defined our family. I wish I had been stronger, as she admits during one call, her voice tinged with regret. I wish I had stood up for you. Her words are a quiet testament to the shifting landscape of our relationship, a hopeful sign of a possible future reconciliation, not based on obligation, but on mutual understanding. The cardinal, once a solitary symbol of freedom, has a new companion in my mind, the vast expanse of the city skyline, a constant reminder of the boundless possibilities that now define my life. The fear of missing out, of being excluded, has been replaced by a quiet confidence, a certainty in the path I've chosen. One evening, as Liam and I enjoy dinner on our balcony, overlooking the glittering cityscape, I receive a text from Aunt Malene. It's a photo, Eleanor and Julian, smiling broadly, holding a framed print of their wedding photo. The text reads, I just wanted to remind you what a real wedding looks like. Your flicker of the old anger, the old hurt, surfaces. But it's quickly extinguished, replaced by a quiet amusement. Her attempts to provoke, to belittle, are now impotent. I simply delete the message, not out of avoidance, but out of a serene indifference. Her world, her judgments, no longer have a place in mine. Liam, sensing the shift, asks, everything okay? Perfectly, I reply, leaning into him, watching the city lights twinkle like 1,000 tiny possibilities. More than perfect, the concept of a chosen family it takes on a deeper meaning. My friends, who stood by me through the turmoil, become anchors in my new life. Clara, always a fierce advocate, plans a visit, excited to explore my new city. My design network expands, connecting me with like-minded creatives who value authenticity and collaboration. I'm building a new tribe, a community that nurtures, celebrates, and truly sees me. The past, with its shadows and its hurts, is slowly receding, becoming a distant memory, a foundation upon which a stronger, more vibrant future is being built. I'm not just surviving, I'm thriving. I'm not just existing, I'm living, fully and unapologetically, in a story that is finally, truly, my own. And the best part? The best part is that I'm writing it, one joyful, authentic chapter at a time. The world outside my window is vast and full of promise, and I am ready for every adventure it holds. My new life in the city unfolds with a vibrant rhythm, each day a new opportunity to explore, create, and connect. The feeling of being constantly on the defensive, of bracing myself for the next family slight, has completely dissipated. It's replaced by a quiet confidence, a sense of inner peace that permeates every aspect of my existence. My design studio, a sun-drenched space in my apartment, becomes my creative sanctuary. I spend hours immersed in projects, my imagination unburdened by external pressures. The national campaign is a resounding success, leading to more high-profile work and an invitation to speak at a prestigious design conference. The little hobby in my family once dismissed is now a celebrated profession, a source of profound personal and professional fulfillment. The distance from my old life, both geographical and emotional, proves to be a powerful catalyst for growth. I find myself revisiting old passions, like painting with watercolors, simply for the sheer joy of it. Liam and I explore our new city, discovering hidden cafes, vibrant art galleries, and tranquil parks. Our relationship deepens, built on a foundation of shared values, mutual respect, and unwavering support. He is not just my partner, he is my chosen family, a constant source of strength and affirmation. The calls from my mother become less frequent, their tone more resigned than accusatory. She occasionally sends updates about Eleanor, mundane details about her new house or her struggles with married life. The subtext is clear. Life isn't always the perfect, curated picture she once tried to paint. The realization brings a bittersweet sense of understanding. Their lives, despite the outward appearances of perfection, are not without their own complexities and challenges. I realize that their constant need to diminish me was likely a reflection of their own insecurities, a desperate attempt to maintain a fragile sense of control. One afternoon, while preparing for a client presentation, I receive an unexpected email. It's from Aunt Carol, the fence dash.